Hello, beautiful nerdy stitchers. This is Mev back for an update from beautiful Paris. Today is Sunday, March 17th. So I guess the first thing I need to say is Happy St. Patrick's Day for all of you lovely Irish people out there, whether you be in Ireland or elsewhere. Sharon, just want to say hi and happy St. Patrick's. I hope you are all well. I am back after 5 weeks, which seems to have become a pattern for a stitchy update and for so many reasons to celebrate. I've got loads to share and talk about, and there are so many wonderful things that I just want to celebrate with you guys today. I hope it's not going to be too long. There will probably be some things that I had wanted to talk about that I will leave for another day because, again, too many things to say. First things first, I want to, each time, I want to acknowledge, say hi and thank you to the latest additions to the World Map of Stitchers. So as you can see here, more and more pins are coming to light, and so over the last 5 weeks I've been lucky enough to make connections with new stitchers, and so I just want to say hi and thank you to those. There's Andrea C, who is in Tarpon Springs, Florida. There's Claudia from Sao Paulo, Brazil, so that's very exciting because we have this is reversed. I mean, this is ridiculous. So we have Claudia, where she right there in Brazil. And there's also Marla, who goes by My Humble Needle on Instagram. She currently lives in Texas, but she's from Panama City. And so she requested that I show her there. So we have 2 additional pins in South America, which is really, really cool. There's Jennifer in Sterling, Virginia, another Southern lady. There is Susan in Perth, Australia, which is so cool. So the pin that is on the east coast of Australia is for Susan. There is Donna in Rhode Island. There's Alessandra in Ontario, Canada. There's Louise, who is near Brisbane, Australia again. There is Diane in Alabama, Olivia in Knoxville, Tennessee. And then last but certainly not least, we have our first Italian stitcher, and this is Raffaella, whom I will be meeting very, very soon. More about it a little bit later in this video. Ladies, thank you very much for sending word and allowing me to add to this map. And this will lead me into my very first reason for celebration today. A year ago, a year minus 1 week ago, on March 24th, 2018, I was filming my first Flosstube, and so this is my first anniversary celebration day. I will not be able to film next week, so I thought I'll do it a little bit early. And this leads me to another celebration, which is also a first Flosstube anniversary, and this is for Leah. Leah, aviatrix stitcher, friend extraordinaire, actually filmed her first Flosstube on March 17th, 2018, so that was a year ago today. And I had asked if I could mention this. Leah, you are one of the ones who have rocked my stitchy world over this year, and so I want to celebrate this with you today. I thought that I would give you a little bit of numbers just to give you an idea, because this is what I do. I'm a lot in numbers, a little bit too much probably. Anyway, I thought I would just throw in here some little facts and numbers that kind of partly represent what the year has been for me stitchy-wise and Flosstube-wise. because it's incredible for me to put those together and realize what I have lived and discovered and gone through thanks to this crazy adventure. So this is it. In a year of Flosstube and in 14 months of picking up stitching again, this is what happened. This channel has now over 620 subscribers, which is insane in my mind. This is completely incredible. There are 104 names on the map. So 104 people reached out to me and say, hey, my name is Marie and I live in Paris, France. And this is, whether the connections be just a kind word or more than that, relationships and actual meetings in the flesh, or friendship that has developed in by emails or messaging, or it's just wonderful to know that this craft is not only me spending nights and weekends doing little crosses on fabric, but it's also been opening and widening my universe, and this is so very incredible and unexpected and beautiful. About the 104 stitchers on the world map of stitches, I just wanted to mention a few numbers again. We have 7 stitchers in Oceania, so Australia, New Zealand, Tasmania. There's 1 in Asia. There's 1 in the Middle East. There's 1 stitcher in Africa. There are 32 stitchers in Europe, 3 in Central and Southern America, 8 in Canada, and then 53 in the US of A. So this is for the people I've connected with over 1 year of videos and Instagram, and this is absolutely wonderful. Now, stitching wise, here are the numbers. It was really kind of cool to go back and sort of try and count what had been done over the last 14 months. So I'm counting from when I picked up stitching again, which was probably January 2018. I've had 9 fully finished objects, most of which is a little bit of a cheat because most of them, have been finished by my lovely crazy aunt. There are 3 finishes waiting to be fully finished. There are 3 what I'm calling partial finishes. These are the little Garden Club series from Blackbird Designs, and I currently have 5 active whips, so that's pretty good. And whatever the numbers are, it's just to show what it allowed me to accomplish. And I'm not running after finishes or numbers of stitches or numbers of subscribers or whatsoever, but it just shows what it brought to me in a year, and I'm very, very grateful, very, very thankful. And I mean, 80% of it is just all due to the beautiful people that have connected with me. So thank you very, very much. That is a huge, huge reason to celebrate. And then the second, I'll probably leave it to a bit later on. But 3 weeks ago, I celebrated my 45th birthday, and I was gifted wonderful things that I thought I would share with you because there was a lot of stitchy related stuff, which is really cool. So this is a happy anniversary for me, for Leah, and a huge, huge, huge thank you for all of you who have enabled me to discover so much more than what I knew about cross stitch before starting Flosstube. Thank you so very much. Now, because this is Flosstube, we might as well be talking about stitching, right? So, first things first. And another reason for celebration. is a finish, which was kind of unexpected. I mean, it came out early. I didn't think I would have that done now, but it's done, so I thought I'd share it with you. Germaine, the lovely lady from Needle and Thread Pattern by Brenda Gervais, is now done. Are you ready to see this? There you go. She is here and she is lovely. I'm trying to do a close-up. There you are. Oh, she's so adorable. I really like this pattern. The colors are really beautiful. It's prim, it's so fitting. So this, I've mentioned before, will be gifted to my mom. My mom's birthday is 28th of April. So I have a little over a month to fully finish it. And that's already in the works in my mind. So we've started discussing some options. And everything about this piece is so fitting for my mom. So I'm very happy. It's not true. It's not completely finished because, let me show you the pattern. We're missing the flowers and the giant plants. I don't know if you can see this, but on the pattern, it calls for little tiny buttons to be stitched as flowers. So here's what's going to happen. I am visiting my mom next weekend. I will be stealing from her, as discreetly as I can, some of her mother of pearl buttons that she's got. She's got probably several hundred buttons, so I'm sure I'm going to find what I need. So I need like 6 or 7 of them, tiny little ones, because as you can see, this is small. This has been stitched on 28 count 1/1. You can see my hand here, so this is small. I need to find tiny little buttons to fit here in the plans. So I will be taking them from my mom's stash as stealthily as I can next week, so that I can stitch them on the piece. And then once this is done, the idea is to keep it as textile as possible. So I'm sorry, I'm getting rid of a chest infection, so I may sniffle and sneeze and cough. Please forgive me, and we'll see how it goes. Anyway, so so the idea is I'm going to put this on a on some quilting, what's it called? Quilting padding, and then lace it on foam board. So that will be a first layer, and then the idea is to find a piece of very loose linen or what's it called? Oh, I can't remember. Like, we want to find some very rustic, very loose woven fabric that my aunt wants to paint, so that we can put the laced piece on it. And this piece of painted fabric will in turn be laced as well with some quilting padding. So the idea is to have something rather thick in two layers. So the first one would be this piece, and then the second one would be kind of like the frame. And the color, so my mom is all about red. My mom absolutely loves the color red in more of a rusty, orangey red rather than bright red or pink red. So we will see, but the idea is to have something painted in that kind of colors. These are 2 Valdanis, I think. Yes, they are. And this is colorway, let me see, yeah, terracotta twist. So the idea is to have a background behind the piece that would be that kind of color, and then have the stitched piece on top of it, which I think is going to be very cool. So there you have it. Germaine is now done. I don't know if you can see this, but I have stitched a tiny little M for my name, and she's ready to go. Can you see this? So she has a little basket with bobbins, and then there's this pin cushion with a little tiny strawberry hanging down in front of her skirts. Scissors, there's a needle here with a thread that is just, you know, winding its way on the skirt again. Oh, and about the skirt, so here's what I did. This was to be stitched in caramel corn, and this is a general art thread. And I didn't want it to be just that. I wanted it to have a little kind of a shabby, patchy look. And so what I did is I pulled out Harvest, what's it called? Harvest something. It's another general art. It's really just a little bit darker than the caramel corn. And I stitched some little tiny patches on the skirt with that thread, and it gives it kind of a like a grungy look, which I really like. And what I did is I stitched part of the skirt horizontal, and then other parts vertical, so that the lines wouldn't be in the same direction always. And I think it shows a little, and I'm really happy about the result. Look at her like cheeks. I mean, she is so sweet. Her face is just so beautiful. Everything about this pattern is lovely. I'm very happy. So this was, I thought the skirt would take me way longer than it actually did. So I'm very happy about this. I really like this piece. So this is a finish, almost a finish. And again, we will be working on fully finishing it in the weeks to come with my crazy yarn. Next, let's get into whips. I only have two whips to show. Yes, two whips to show you, and a change of plan. So let me show you Amy Mitten's Forgery 17, this crazy, lovely alphabet that I'm well into. So sorry for the scratchy noise. This is coming along really well as well. This is the pattern. I've shown it to you now time and again. So this crazy, lovely alphabet by Amy Mitten is a kit. So it came with the linen and the overdyed silks, which are wonderful. Now, last time you saw it, I think I was just done with this line. No, I think I was done with the third line. Can you see this? So that's interesting. So I went on stitching, did this line and then this one, and then I realized, can you see there's a V here? Okay, this alphabet is incomplete. It's missing at least two letters. The Z for sure, and I think the X as well. And then I noticed that the V is here and there. So there are two V's, no Z, no question for you. How do you pronounce the letter Z? Is it Z or is it Z? I meant to check and then I forgot. So that's me putting a letter thing out there. Anyway, so the V had been stitched by Rachel Hollowell twice. And as you may recall, I asked my friend and colleague Laura to chart a Z or a Z to stitch on this piece, because Z is the nickname I call my beloved partner, and this cannot be without a Z. So anyway, and so I noticed the two V's and I said, that's interesting. I'm going to let go of one, put the G that's here in lieu of this V, and then put the Z at the very end. But how crazy is that? So letters missing, very uneven in sizes, and then a one that is stitched twice. Crazy. Anyway, enough rambling. Here is where I am at, and as you will see, I only have 3 letters to go. All right, as always, this is going to be a little bit difficult to see. I'll try and do close up. So first line, can you, there you go. Second line MSTB, and then Yeah, the lightest color is almost impossible to see. And then there, the third line, can you see the V? Barely see it. WRU. And here I've started the letter G. It's very difficult to show. This is much easier to show on Instagram with pictures. So these are beautiful. These are absolutely stunning. And the colors are very soft. It's very, very interesting and very easy to stitch. This is stitch 1 strand over 2. And I think it's some kind of 30 or 32 count linen. So let me just show you again. I'm currently on the very last line, and so as I mentioned, so this V will be the actual G here. So there will be a G, O, P, and then the Z that we have charted with Laura to end. And then there is Rachel's name here that I will be stitching as well. I really, really enjoy this piece because it's, again, it's very easy and quirky. And the colors are not the ones that I would go for if I chose them. And so I'm very happy to, you know, let myself go and do things I'm not used to do. So this is it, the Amy Mitten Forgery 17. I really love this piece. It's really quite beautiful. And so this one most probably will be finished next time I speak to you. Yeah, I'm happy, very happy. So this was Rachel Howell. Now, the big one, and the change of plans. So, as you may know if you're a returning visitor, I've been working on Dragons of Sumatra by Ink Circles for the last 4 months now. And I discussed last time I spoke to you about my plans regarding the border. So let me maybe pull up the, again, scratchy noise, my plans for the stitch thing. So this is the pattern. Last time I saw you or I spoke to you, I had done the inside and I had started the inner border. I don't know if you can see, but there are 2 layers of borders. And I had gone on a very short explanation about how I was going to be stitching only the inside border, and I would leave the those parts that are sticking out. So I would have done the inner border with those 2 parts that are sticking out, and I would not do the outer border, right? So this wasn't the plan, and my thinking was my thoughts were, if I do that, I'll have the fabric really, you know, show more and sing more on the piece, behind the piece, because as you may know, it's a very, very bright, beautiful fabric. And so I had constructed this thing in my head, and I'm afraid that most of it was laziness, or if not laziness, I wanted to have it finished because I wanted to start something else. So anyway, after that video, I received a few comments and questions. Some of them made me kind of rethink my whole plans because they were very pertinent. Leah, namely, Aviatrix Stitcher, said, okay, I understand what you want to do. So basically you want to leave this like taller than the inner border and then this part as well. But then isn't it going to create some kind of imbalance width-wise? Are you going to have like a small inner border everywhere and then those 2 sides sticking out and then nothing else? Isn't it going to like kind of screw the balance of the whole piece? And that was a good point. And so she suggested maybe you should do also kind of like sticking out pieces on either side, and so that like kind of stood at the back of my head. And then, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, yeah, I think, or 3 weeks ago, my aunt saw my progress on the piece, and then I told her about my plans. And so she looked at the piece, she looked at the pattern, and excuse me, I'm sorry. And she was absolutely adamant that there was no way I was not going to stitch the full border. So she said, this is not going to happen. You have to do the whole thing. I mean, first of all, she finds the border one of the most interesting thing in the piece. And then she said, the whole thing, the whole purpose of this outer border is to merge the actual stitching into the border because of those, like, see, because of all those pointy little things that are kind of, you know, how can I say this? This is going to be a little bit hard to explain. Basically, you have less and less stitches, right, that kind of like let the, make a transition, this is what I want to say, between the heavily stitched part and the outside of the fabric or the piece. She says the whole point of this border is to allow this transition. If you start with if you stop the design with a harsh line, it won't make any sense. And what I mentioned in my on my Instagram lately is when my aunt says something, you just don't mess with her. I mean, you do as she says, and so and so I did. There are not a lot of people who I listen to, but she definitely is one. She's very scary. So and I think, I mean, basically her argument, Leah's arguments, made complete sense. And so I'm stitching the whole thing. So I know some of you thought the idea really good. I think Michelle Bendy Stitchy was pretty enthusiastic about the idea, but it's not going to happen. I'm stitching it all. And now that I've been rambling for 5 minutes on this, let me just show you the piece. And I'm convinced that it is the way to go. Now, let me show this to you, as always. This is, there you are. Yes. So it is well underway now, inner and outer border together. I've done 2 corners. That's the thing too. I mean, the 4 corners, the 4 corner motifs are different and they're beautiful. And it would have been a shame to let them out. And again, I mean, the fabric you can very well see beneath those like kind of spear shaped motifs. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. And my aunt was absolutely right. I mean, you need it couldn't end with a harsh line. It would have been I think nonsensical. So this is where I'm at. The border is not halfway done yet, but I'm getting there. So basically, once I've done this part here, I'll be halfway done with the a little bit over halfway done with the border. So this is it. Oh my goodness, this piece. All right, this is where it, sorry. There we go. Dragons of Sumatra. I love it so much. Stitched 1/1 on 28 count linen, hand dyed by Tentaculum, German company, using their overdyed Auvert à soie silk in Waterhouse colorway. And the inside is stitched with Soie d'Alger, which is a regular 6-stranded silk. and the border is stitched with soie gobelin, which is slightly thinner. Once this is done, I will try and do some close-up pictures so that we can see whether we see the difference in the two different types of silks. So this is Dragons of Sumatra. I mean, you know how much I absolutely love this piece. And I am happy to have had these exchange and discussions about my plans and what I intended to do, because, and this is the whole joy of not only stitching but sharing the stitches. You get so much more ideas and feedback, and you enter into discussions that are just, you know, just fueling your love of the craft, and I really like that. So these are the whips. Now, birthday celebration, because this will enable me to talk about my new start. So I got some lovely stitchy gifts for my birthday. It was a wonderful day. I mean, between the messages, the calls, the actual gifts, it was beautiful. So I want to show you what kind of gifts I received, and then I'll talk to you about my new starts, because it's a gift that I got. First gift is a kit from Le Bonheur des Dames. Are you ready for this? This is... All right. So this is a full kit by Le Bonheur des Dames. It's it's the reproduction of a traditional rug. It's full coverage on linen, and this is petit point, so 10 stitch. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. This is Laura. I mean, obviously she knows, but I mean, Laura gifted this to me. And I've been eyeing those. There are several different rugs sold as kits at our local LNS, Le Bonheur des Dames. And I've been eyeing those for years now, and I'm so happy. This one is absolutely beautiful. Let me just show you the linen and the threads. Look at this. I mean, look at this palette. Ah, it is so rich, so beautiful. Oh, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome. So this is going to be a bit of a project, right? Because it's full coverage. And even though the result is small, because it's 10 stitch 1/1 or 2/1, the count, I don't know if, no, there's no count in there. It's probably something like, yeah, it's at least 250 by 70 or something, so it's pretty big. I don't know when I'll start it, but I'm very happy, because again, this is really exactly what the kind of stitches that I like. So I was very happy. Next thing is a little gift from one of my mom's best friend, one of her textile co-artists, if I may say so. This is a tiny little piece of tapestry that Jeanne, this friend, did a long time ago, and she gave it to me because she knew I loved it. And this is her creation, so this is not a pattern that she reproduced. She was inspired by a still life painting, and she just basically reproduced it on tapestry, on a canvas, I mean. So this is stitched with wool. It's very simple. You can see this is a handbag, sort of, and they're probably kind of sort of like suitcases and books and stuff. The colors are absolutely beautiful. I don't know yet what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to take it at my mom's, and we'll see what kind of idea I can use it for probably a lid of for some kind of box or something. Just wanted to show you. So this is like on the fly, completely created by Jeanne. Yeah, this is the kind of women I frequent, or I know and I associate with. So I'm very lucky. I'm very, very lucky. So this is a tiny little gift by Jeanne. And then my mom made me one of her tiny textile treasures. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen this piece. So this is my birthday present from my mother. A little fabric square. I mean, look at this. Oh. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things here. So this is all fabric. This is applique. This is one kind of fabric here with a fish, and then there's another one here with a printed koi, sort of koi fish, I think. Can you see this? I mean, this is awesome. So this is my mom for you. She is such a creative person. She's got those ideas. This is an earring. This is one. I mean, this belongs to her, right? This is one of her earrings. And what I think happened is she probably lost the other one, and instead of just throwing that one away, she uses it, you know, on something. Let me see if I can show this to you. The other way around is going to be easier. I mean, come on. I don't know if you remember, for those of you who've been following me for a while, last year with my mom, we did some experiments with painted fabric. This piece here is probably one of the fabrics that she had painted using what I had called the Jello method. So I'm pretty sure this one has been painted by her. Now this I need to talk about. So this fabric here with all those colorful stains is just a plain like cloth or kitchen towel or whatever, a scrap of fabric, and this I know where it comes from. So my mother follows some art classes where she lives. She goes there once a week, and they do drawing, paintings, etc. And I know that for a fact. She from time to time she takes the cloth that are used, you know, just to wipe your brushes. So wipe your brush, clean up your stuff, your paint gears and stuff. I know she takes them back home and she collects them in case she has uses for them. So this piece here, I'm sure, is a piece of cloth that has been used in her art classes just to wipe brushes and paint stuff. And there, you have it. And then she uses it for something beautiful. And I thought that this illustrates perfectly how her creative process works. She has stitched sort of like quilted some waves here. And I like to think that I'm the little pieces here reaching for the moon. This is just beautiful. I'm so very happy. So yeah, so that was another very, very important present for my birthday. Now the last one I want to share will get me into my new start. And there's a little bit of background here if you are willing to bear with me a little. Last month I visited my dad, who lives on the countryside with his partner on a beautiful property in the middle of nowhere. It's a little tiny hamlet with 10, 12 houses. They've They've built most of the secondary buildings on the property. So the house is a very old farmhouse, and then they've built an extension, and then they've built a tool shed and whatnot. And this is also where my aunt has her witch's cabin. Anyway, I took some photos last time when we were there in February, and I had posted them on Instagram. And that was a couple of weeks before my birthday. And on the day of my birthday, a very good friend of mine, Audrey, who's Irish too, by the way. Audrey, happy St. Patrick's to you. Anyway, so Audrey came to me and said, I have something for you. I hope you're going to like it. What she did is she took inspiration from one of the pictures in my dad's garden, and she doesn't stitch, she doesn't cross stitch or anything. She sews clothes, but I mean, she has, you know, she doesn't have any experience in stitching, and she actually looked out for a free cross stitch pattern designer app, and she designed a little something for me, taking inspiration from this picture at my dad's. And I want to show you the picture, and then I'll show you the pattern, and then I'll show you what I've been doing it with it. So I hope that's going to work. So this is the picture I had posted on Instagram. This is early morning on a Sunday, on a winter Sunday. And you see this here is a garden tool shed. And it's called the pencil just because it looks like a pencil. Anyway, this beautiful little building is what inspired her. You can see this big tree here is a huge walnut tree. And then in the background you can see my aunt's witch's cabin. So this was the inspiration. And so on the day of my birthday, Audrey came and gifted this to me that she had made herself using this app. I mean, how sweet is this? It moved me to tears. Honestly, it was so thoughtful. She just, oh my goodness, look at the tool shed. It's just perfect, right? I instantly recognized it, obviously, and I was very, very moved, very touched. So thoughtful. And obviously she had like gathered bits and pieces of free cross-stitch motifs that she had found, and she said, obviously, you know, you can change it however you want. This is just a start, and the most important thing was obviously the garden, the tool shed. So she gifted me this print, of course, but she also sent me the actual pattern through the app so that I could play with it, and I actually spent the last 3 days playing indeed with it. Excuse me, I'm gonna cough again. I may have to edit this out. Anyway, so over the last 2-3 days, I've been playing with this stitching app, which of course I don't remember the name now. I will put a link below it for those of you who are interested. And I kind of transformed the pattern a little, and I want to show you roughly what it's going to look like in my start, because I started it. So this is what she had designed, and this is sort of what I made out of it. I just made the tree a little bit thicker. I kept the watering can because it's really cute. I added some birds that I took out of a Blackbird Designs pattern that I have. And then the wheelbarrow, interesting word thing. I had no idea what the English word of this was. Now I know it's a wheelbarrow. Anyway, so I kept the wheelbarrow because, I mean, the watering can and the wheelbarrow is exactly what is in my dad's, obviously in my dad's garden all the time. And then I used two different motifs from the Garden Club series collection that I have, to have this pot here and then this plant growing up. And so I had a lot of fun trying to go through all my stuff, my patterns, and then determine what kind of things I wanted to have on there. And so, I mean, it's still incomplete. I may be adding or transforming things, but the process was really, really a lot of fun. Just to go through things and pick and choose, and obviously the central piece is the shed anyway. So so this is sort of kind of what it's going to look like. Now, all the while thinking about the actual pattern, obviously I was also thinking about the fabrics and the threads. And it all started with the fabric. Another excuse to buy stuff. I was running out of the soie gobelin that I'm using for Dragons of Sumatra, and so I had to place an order with Tentaculum. How convenient. And I found the perfect fabric for this piece. And so once I had the fabric, which is another very colorful, very deep fabric, I spent all of my morning yesterday. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you've seen 2 pictures of my couch and my coffee tables, like overflowing with stitchy stuff, and I was in the midst of trying to pick some colors because I knew I had the background. On Friday evening I discussed with my aunt about the fabric and my idea, and so I was in full creation mode, if you will, for this. And so I've started it. So the fabric I had to determine where I wanted the actual stitches to be on the fabric, the pattern I had worked with, and then again I spent a long time trying to pick and choose some of the colors that I would use. Are you ready for this fabric? This is another insane, beautiful fabric. Remember the Midnight pattern by Barbara Anna Designs on this dark Halloweeny brown and orangey fabric that I stitched for my aunt, the yellow Klimt fabric on which Dragons of Sumatra are stitched. Well, this is in the same family. Ready for this? Ta-da! I mean, come on. This is just the most... I mean, they're all gorgeous. Isn't this just the garden in like spring full swing for you? So this piece is called Cézanne, after the French painter. And as you can see, it's a very dark, deep, beautiful green with stunning splotches of purple and blues and some dots of yellows. Let me try and bring this closer. Yeah, you can see the yellow splotches as well. I mean, guys, this is just beautiful. So in order to determine, so here's the thing. The piece will be approximately 120 by 120 stitches. This is 28 count. And I decided to stitch it 2/2 because I want as much fabric as I can because it's so beautiful. And so we had to, this is a bigger piece than is needed, and so we had to determine where, you know, where the pattern would be stitched. And so what we did basically is we cut a piece of vinyl at the size of what I wanted to do, just to try and see where it would go. Let me try and show this to you. If this is of no interest to you, I mean, please feel free to step out. It's just that the whole process was so very interesting. I thought I'd share it with you for those of you who, you know, might get some ideas or actually send me some comments on things that I may have done or should still may do differently. So cut out a square of vinyl in the measurements of the finished piece, and basically what we did is we took this and said, okay, where's the best place to put it, right? See what I mean? Yeah, if I could, I wish I could hold things straight for once. Anyway, so we kind of like made this piece of vinyl travel around the fabric to determine where was the most convenient area, and we ended up on this lower corner because of the beautiful purple splotches here. I will take the pattern again and kind of show you what the placement is going to be. I have started, so let me just bring it up a little bit closer. I have started stitching the, like it's only 4 rows or 3 rows, the tool shed here. So this is going to be like, this is going to go up to here and then that way, right? So the garden shed is going to be here. The tree is going to be the border of the piece on this side, and then on this side you'll have the wheelbarrow, and then the plant coming up, and then probably a couple of birds in this greeny part here. And so the idea was we wanted to have both splotches of, that's better, Mev. So this obviously is just like, you know, flowers growing behind the shed. This will be integrated in the piece as well, sort of like where the plant is going to be. And so I think we did well in the choice of the placement. I mean, this fabric is just so awesome. So let me try and show you what I mean. So I've started with the shed, and so the purple, one of the big purple splotches is coming out on this side, right? And then the other main purple thing stains will be around here. It's going to be on this end. It's a much darker green part, which is good because that's going to be where the tree trunk is. And then we'll see what we do with the birds. I might want to add 1 or 2. I don't know. We'll see. And then I also might want to, you know, have some trellis grow like coming out of, well, from behind of the shed. We'll see. I mean, that's easy to transform as I go. Now, I would like the very last thing, if you're not bored to tears yet, I would like to show you is the threads that I've picked up. The picture, the original picture of the actual shed is kind of misleading because this is clear. This is rather clear wood right here. This is hardwood. So my dad built this thing in wooden, and there is, I don't know if you can see this, but the very tip of the roof is actually metal. What's it called? Zinc? I don't know what's it called. But anyway, the very tip of the shed is metal. So when I was selecting the floss, what I did is 2 things. So I wanted some grays and silvery tones for that very tip of the shed. And then the wood, I didn't want it to be too brown. I wanted it to have a grayish undertone because it will age, as you may know. I mean, hardwood, not treated or not, you know, with no particular coating on it outside, weathers with time and has a tendency to become more and more gray rather than wood like brown wood, right? And so that was important in my choices of color. And so you see here, we used some kind of random brown colors. The important thing was the shading. So like darker here where where you have the angle of the shed. But basically what I did is try to choose more grayish browns than just straight tans and browns. So I will try, and then for the rest, it's just like, it's a garden full of flowers. So I had to find some greens and some pinks or purples or whatever, but that's the easy part. This video is all over the place and it's full of scratchy noises. I hope you will forgive me for that. I knew I would get a little bit overexcited with everything that I had to share. It's proving to be true. So this is going to be the brownish grayish stuff used for the shed. So it's a happy mix of Gentle Art, Crescent Colors, Weeks Dye Works, etc. Okay? And yes, I want to show this to you. The darkest part of the shed is going to be stitched in a Amy Mitten hand-dyed silk, and I'm pretty sure you won't see it on the camera, but the reason I chose this particular colorway is because it's a dark brown with a little bit of dirty kind of undertones, and also you won't be able to see it, but it has some purple. It's a little bit more variegated than the usual Amy Mitten hand-dyed silks, and it has some purple pieces to it. And I thought, because of the fabric, this is going to be awesome. So I don't know if you can see this, but it's a happy mix of grayish and greenish browns, and then there are some hints of dark purple, which I found fascinating. So part of the tool shed and part of the trunk are going to be stitched with this, together with all of these, which I think are going to work very well together. So that's for the neutrals of the piece. And then the fun stuff is that I can do just about anything with the rest. So I picked out all of the kind of purpley pinky colors that I had for the for all the plant related things, and for the green I found one of the Tentaculum silks I'm going to use to stitch the greenery that I have here and there. Look at this. I mean, come on guys. Isn't this going to be just... I'm fainting. Oh, I'm so happy. And then there will probably be hints of blue using some Yoke Trebede Nice threads gifted by the lovely Mieke. I had a blast yesterday just picking and choosing all the good stuff that I wanted to use. It was a very, very, very good moment. And I think it's so precious to be gifted something that has so much meaning, and then that actually lasts in time. It's something that someone made for me, but will in turn allow me to make something out of it, which is, I mean, the best. And I think that, I mean, I know that this piece will be stitched for my dad and his partner. I can picture this being either inside or out, just out the tool shed or in the greenhouse. And I think, I'm pretty sure they will like it. By the way, this piece, I named the piece, Audrey, I hope you'll be okay with that. This piece will be called La Boude, which is a short nickname for the actual place to live in. So La Boude is coming to life, and I love it. I really, really, really do love it. Okay, an hour. That's enough, Marie. I apologize for the being all over the place and talking too fast and sniffling and coughing and everything. Hopefully I get better in the few days to come. The very last thing I need to mention in terms of celebration, and this is upcoming in 3 weeks' time, I will be in the Netherlands for the 2019 Dutch retreat. This is going to be my first ever stitching retreat, other than when I go on myself on my own somewhere to stitch. And I'm so very looking forward to this. Spending 3 days with ladies that I have either met in the flesh or met through messaging and emails and regular snail mail, and then discovering others or people that I know through Flosstube. And I mean, spending 3 days stitching, laughing, eating, drinking, celebrating is something that I so very much look forward to. It's going to be awesome. I'm over the moon, very, very excited. And so next time I talk to you, that will have happened. Fingers crossed. So that's another reason why I absolutely needed to celebrate today. So yeah, this is long enough. I will keep the rest for another update. Thank you so very much for the past 12 months of joy and colors and human interactions and sweetness and gifts and conversation. You have rocked my world this past year, and I'm going to stop here or I'm going to start crying again. Thank you so very much. I wish you a lovely Sunday evening, night, morning, wherever you may be. Stitch well, be kind. Au revoir.